To understand where humanity may be headed in healing and consciousness, we first need to rethink what reality itself is made of. For centuries, we were taught that the universe is primarily physical, solid matter moving through empty space. But modern physics, neuroscience, and consciousness research increasingly point to a very different picture. Instead of a mechanical universe, many researchers now describe reality as a vast network of interacting energy fields. Some of these fields are stable, others dynamic, but all are deeply interconnected. In this view, the universe is less like a machine and more like an enormous information system, one that behaves holographically. Physicist David Bohm referred to this as the implicate order, a hidden, underlying field where all information is enfolded into everything else. What we experience as the physical world, the objects, events, and timelines of daily life, is the manifest reality unfolded from that deeper field. Gap 1s. Like a hologram, every part contains information about the whole. At the same time, neuroscientist Carl Pribram reached a similar conclusion from studying the brain. He proposed that the brain does not store memories in isolated locations like files on a hard drive. Instead, information is distributed across neural networks in interference patterns, much like a hologram. This explains why memories often survive even when parts of the brain are damaged. Clarity may fade, but the information isn't lost. When Bohm and Pribram's ideas are combined, a powerful implication emerges. If the universe is holographic and the brain functions holographically, then consciousness may arise from the interaction between the two. This interaction is what we can call the consciousness matrix. The consciousness matrix is not a place or a machine. It's actually the interface between the universal field of information and the human nervous system. Consciousness, in this model, is not produced by the brain alone. Instead, it emerges when the brain's electrical and electromagnetic activity becomes capable of resonating with and decoding information already present in the universe. To be clear, consciousness arises when the brain resonates with information already out there. The human brain and nervous system generate measurable electrical, magnetic, and electrostatic fields. This is a confirmed fact. These fields are constantly exchanging energy with the environment. Perception happens when incoming energy patterns interact with the brain's internal field and are interpreted through memory, emotion, and attention. But here's the critical point. The quality of perception depends on the state of that internal field. This is where brain entrainment becomes essential. So, brain entrainment uses rhythm, whether that's sound, vibration, light, breath, or even movement, to guide the brain's electrical activity into more stable patterns. When we're exposed to consistent rhythmic input, our neural firing actually begins to synchronize. It's a natural biological process. You can think of it like this. The brain follows rhythm the way the heart follows a pacemaker. When entrainment happens, scattered brain activity starts to align. It's kind of amazing how the brain can shift from chaos to order just by syncing up with a rhythm. Communication between brain regions improves. Internal conflict starts to decrease. The nervous system moves out of that chronic survival mode and into a state of regulation. This regulated state is called coherence. Coherence does not mean the brain is locked into one frequency. Instead, it means different regions of the brain are working together efficiently, with proper timing and coordination. Emotional centers, cognitive centers, and sensory systems communicate instead of competing. Stress hormones drop, attention stabilizes, awareness widens. In the context of the consciousness matrix, coherence determines how well the brain can read reality. A chaotic brain field is like a radio full of static. It receives distorted signals and interprets them through fear, habit, and reaction. A coherent brain field has a clearer signal-to-noise ratio. It can detect patterns, meaning, and subtle information that would otherwise pass unnoticed. This helps explain why altered or expanded states of consciousness feel different. Practices such as meditation, hypnosis, rhythmic sound, breath work, and somatic entrainment all work by changing the frequency and coherence of the brain's internal field. When the field changes, our perception changes. Importantly, the mind does not simply absorb information. It compares what it receives with its own internal hologram, especially memory. Consciousness arises from difference. When incoming patterns differ from stored patterns in geometry, frequency, or structure, awareness is generated. So, this is why learning, insight, and healing all require contrast. Without coherence, the contrast is lost in noise. Psychologist Keith Floyd captured this idea when he suggested that it may not be the brain that produces consciousness, but consciousness that produces the appearance of the brain. In other words, the brain may be a physical interface, a receiver and organizer, rather than the ultimate source. This perspective aligns with participatory universe theories proposed by physicist John Wheeler, as well as ancient philosophical traditions that treat consciousness as fundamental rather than secondary. Now, this brings us to the question of future healing technologies, often referred to as medbeds. Regardless of how such technologies ultimately manifest, any advanced healing system designed to operate at the level of energy, information, or consciousness would require a compatible human system. A nervous system locked in stress, fragmentation, and incoherence would resist or distort subtle inputs. A coherent system would integrate them. From this standpoint, medbeds are not just about external technology. They are about interaction. So, brain entrainment and coherence training really function as preparatory infrastructure. They actually teach the nervous system how to regulate itself, how to maintain stability, and how to interact with subtle information without overload. This isn't just passive healing, it's participatory. Rather than just waiting around for future technology to fix the body, coherence training actually strengthens the internal conditions that allow healing to happen more efficiently, whether that's through natural biological processes or advanced tools. Honestly, this reframes the future of medicine entirely. Healing is no longer something that's just imposed on a passive patient. Instead, it becomes a collaboration between consciousness, biology, and technology. And the more coherent the system is, the more effective this collaboration becomes. The consciousness matrix is not mystical speculation. It's actually a functional model. It explains why rhythm really matters, why stress can impair healing, why awareness changes outcomes, and most importantly, why coherence is not optional but foundational. Humanity has practiced early forms of entrainment for thousands of years, through things like drumming, chanting, ritual movement, breath, and posture. Modern neuroscience is simply rediscovering what the nervous system has always known. Rhythm organizes life. As we move toward more advanced understandings of healing, the question is not whether technology will advance, but whether our nervous systems will be ready to meet it. The consciousness matrix suggests that future healing doesn't belong to machines and pills. It belongs to coherent humans who know how to tune themselves. So I hope that you understand that healing isn't about control. It is about alignment. And alignment begins with coherence. Coherence doesn't occur through slow beats only. Research and practices show fast, complex, or high-energy drumming can drive different beneficial states, and at X Pharmacon, We have incorporated a cutting-edge bridge between ancient rhythm practices and modern frequency tech with a live performance that we call Gamma Ignition Unleashing the Beast. Join us. You won't regret it.